What's going on? And welcome on in to episode 268 of the Garage Beers podcast, brought to you proudly here on the OBR streaming network. The Orange and Brown Report is the oldest and largest independent Browns coverage site in all of Cleveland. And then on Tuesday nights, or whenever you choose to listen or watch us, you get to hang out with us and talk about all things Browns, but also all of our favorite teams, all of our favorite leagues, all of our favorite sports, and get to do it over a cold beer. This is the Garage Beers podcast. Go follow the OBR at the OBR on all the socials, and go follow Garage Beers on the socials as well at the Garage Beers to keep up with what we're doing between the shows, in between every week for the random things that we throw up there. With you as always, I'm your host, Michael Keefe. Find me in line at Garage Beers, Mike. And joining me tonight, as usual, my two co-hosts first on a beautiful night over there on the east side of Cleveland, sitting out there on the porch. It's Chad Meyer at Garage Beers. Chad, what's up, Chad?
Boys, what's the most exotic thing you've ever eaten?
Ooh. Okay, I have two. I got two.
Okay.
I got sweetbreads, which is like brain matter.
Okay.
Brain,
Wait, what are
brain
sweetbreads
material.
again?
It's like brain material.
The brains. That's it.
That's like
nice.
It's like in a meat. It was actually delicious.
Okay.
That is.
Where's that? That's got to be overseas, right?
That was in New York City, which is fair. That's basically overseas.
Okay. Yeah.
And then here in Cleveland, my favorite restaurant in Cleveland is Ginkgo. It is a sushi place in Tremont. It is the best sushi place. And I got maybe a little too adventurous there once because I like to try all kinds of weird stuff. They brought they were little blue. They were like bright blue, little like octopi. There were like 6 of them on a plate.
Okay.
But they were still alive.
Oh,
Like, they were like moving. And they were like, just
Ooh.
eat it like that. And I put one of those in my mouth and I was like, this can never happen again. This can never, ever happen again. So I think that's probably my number one.
okay.
Damn.
All right.
I haven't gone past alligator, to be honest.
Okay.
Which alligator's a little exotic. I don't know. That's but
That's fine. Yeah.
Well,
Alex-
they call it the
Alligator's
chicken of the
exotic.
sea for a reason.
I like
Yeah.
to have knowledge of the things going into my stomach, and so you
Yeah.
know,
The chicken
I
of
like
Florida.
I'm not too adventurous in that. Yeah, chicken of Florida.
All right.
I'm sure if you look up Florida guy and alligator, there's a great story somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
story.
The reason why I asked that is the father-in-law brought over black bear tonight.
Whoa.
Yeah. He came over, he was like, I got something for you to try. I was like, okay, what is this? He pulls out these like meatball things, right? Just look like normal meatballs. I'm like, okay, what's with this? He's like, just take a bite. Don't even think about it. Just take a bite. So I take a bite and I'm like, okay, it was just, am I gonna get like a roundworm because of this? They're like, what this isn't obviously not meatballs. And he goes, yeah, that's black bear. How's it taste? I'm like, oh, it's pretty damn good. It was kind of sweet. It wasn't too gamey. So I just checked black bear off my exotic food list, boys.
Bam.
Wow.
Bam.
Unique.
All right,
Yeah.
black-
Here we
black
are,
bear
and here
meatball.
I am. I might die. The trichinosis might be setting in.
It's
But
a great weight
Well,
loss plan, though.
what's that?
It's an excellent weight loss plan.
Yeah, it's going to be great podcasting though if I die on the show tonight. So, yeah, here we are, black bear in the tummy.
All right, so Chad's kicking us off with weird foods. You heard his voice already out there in beautiful Seattle, Washington, where it is the middle of the day, and you should probably still be working, to be honest, Joe. It's Joey Whalen at Garage Beers. Joe, what's up, Joe?
I start the day too early to work at 6. I'm good on that.
Hey, real quick, just to start the show, can I just say, fuck you real fast for going to that Guardians Mariners? You went to every game of that series, and you brought home 0 wins.
Every game. I don't think that was my fault.
I
To
disagree.
be honest, because I changed up some wardrobe attires. I was wearing the Garage Beers hat there. Like, we were prepared to like kind of change things up. But the boys just didn't show up to the West Coast. They packed the offense and defense and they left it on the tarmac. It was just brutal. We'll get into those games because they all sucked in their own way. But that wasn't fun. It was fun to go to all the games. I haven't done a full series before. And that was like my one thing coming. Well, not my one thing coming out here, but like one of the things coming out here was like, okay, we get the Guardians 3 games a year. Like we're going to all the games each year. Like that's just going to happen. So
Hell yeah.
hopefully that tradition of them losing all 3 games doesn't continue. But I had a blast doing it. It was a good time.
Hey, listen, we got a full house tonight. We got a great show planned tonight. We're going to get a little bit later. We might be witnessing tonight the end of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the end of the NHL season. right now, that's the trajectory of the game. So we'll see how things wind up. But we'll talk through that. Talk a little bit more about the NBA Finals, some golf. There was some wild golf stuff that happened this week, so we'll get into that. All that stuff's going to come later, but we've got a great special guest for you tonight. We're going to get him in here right off the bat because he was timely, he was prompt, he was punctual. This is why this man's the professional, and he gets paid big bucks. We're going to get him in. It's the first time having him on, and I am very excited to have him on because he's doing some really awesome things. We're going to talk a lot about our Cleveland stuff, so we're going to kick things off by bringing in our special guest. You know him from Bigplay now, but you probably know him from I think every radio station at this point. And he does big things as the host of the Matt Fontana show. You can find him online, Matt Fontana 83 on X. It's Matt Fontana. We're bringing him in. Welcome on into the garage, Matt.
You guys getting paid for this? I didn't know the big bucks thing. That's okay. That's all right.
Just put the invoice in the mail and we'll lose it. It's fine.
Yeah, invoices are good things. That's awesome. I appreciate you guys having me on, though. I really am excited.
Matt, welcome on in, man. This is awesome. First time, and we're going to get into, we figured with you on, because you're kind of like us. You talk about all the Cleveland sports, which is nice. It's our little break here on the OBR. The OBR does all things Browns, and then we get to talk about the Cavs and the Guardians and the Browns and all that. So we figure we'll just do some kind of quick hitters with you tonight. But we always start our episodes with our favorite segment of the week, which is our Garage Beers of the Week, where we just kind of go around the horn and talk about what we're drinking tonight, give a little review, little recap. So, Matt, did you bring a beverage with you tonight?
Give me 2 seconds. I'll grab one here. Hang on. I'm right next door. Hang on. I'm right in the basement.
I'm going to send it to Joe first. I'm going to send it to Joe, over. And then we'll come back to Matt. Joe, what are you drinking?
Yeah, boys, we've been dealing with a broken fridge situation for a little while here. So while space has been limited in the one fridge that does work, I've been using a little wine cooler to keep my beers cold. Forgot to restock that. So we're going to the bourbon today. I've had this on before. This is my Frey Ranch uncut strength bourbon, which is quite heavy, but it's so good. It's delicious. We're doing I think we need a little heavy stuff after the Guardians this weekend. So,
oh God,
you need more than that.
Yeah,
we'll take it though. It's delicious.
All right, so Joe's kicking us off with the bourbon. All right, Matt, you went and fetched. What'd you go fetch?
I had to go with the Lime Garage Beer. This
there
is
it
the
is.
Garage Beers podcast,
yes.
But it's also they're big fans of us at Bigplay. We love them very much. The Lime guys, it's so funny that obviously they've exploded now with the Kelseys and everything, but there's still people that my in-laws have a place up at Sandusky. It's about an hour away from Cleveland, so we like to go up there. And now I got them on the line. I got them hooked on the other one. Now I brought the Lime because they didn't know about it. They have neighbors coming over going, "What's that?" I'm like, "Dude, this is where it's at." So cheers to you guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Cheers to you. That's excellent branding there, Matt. Bigplay's going to be happy. Bigplay's
going
to be thrilled.
Product placement.
If I could just somehow put it on my shoulder for the whole thing. That's all right. I'm
yeah.
It's out there.
Well, isn't that it's the label drink, right?
Oh, didn't see you there.
The awkward.
That was nice.
Yeah.
There we go. We got it.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a Garage Beers Lime. That's made an appearance many times on the show, so we love having that one. Chad, what are you drinking tonight?
Market Garden Cutie. It's a cutie. It's a citrus IPA. It's actually pretty damn good.
Look at you, Mr.
Boom.
IPAs, Mr. 5 years,
not super
years
hoppy.
into this.
Not super hoppy. It's nice and well balanced. West Coast IPAs could still take a walk. They could all go on an island and just be blown to smithereens. But I'm coming around.
Cutie?
I'm coming around on IPAs.
Matt, 5 years ago, April 1st of 2020 is when we started this show, and you couldn't get Chad to even look at an IPA. Mm-hmm. Now look at him.
We're coming around. I got suggestions. I'm a New England hazy because I'm a millennial, so that's the requirement to be New England hazy kind of guy. So we'll get you one. We got
all
you
right.
one.
All right. Fair enough. I'm open. I'm open-minded now. Since I'm going into new realms of beer.
Speaking of those, Matt, let me take you to the king of the New England Hazy IPA, and let me take you to Treehouse Brewery, because I basically have a fridge full of these at this point, and because I have a fridge full of these, I can't afford to go buy other beer at this point. So this is Yellow is the New Orange by a Treehouse Brewery in Massachusetts, which I probably am not going to see until this time next year, which makes me sad. But there it is. There's your hazy, juicy. Where's the logo? Product placement.
Ooh, that's some good coloring right there.
It's excellent. It's just delicious, juicy IPA, and that's what we're going with. So those are our garage beers of the week. Get in the comments. I am sure we've got Drew will probably show up with his Busch Lights. And we saw Jote has had an edible, so that's fine for him. Put what you're drinking with us tonight in the comments, and we'll flash it up on the screen. But now let's get into episode 268. And Matt, there's not a lot of good news going on in Cleveland sports right now. It's not a lot of like fun and excitement. And I'm sure much like us, you kind of get inundated with just wanting to talk about the Browns all the time. So we figure let's push that off for a hot minute because it's freaking June. And let's talk about something that isn't going so well right now, but let's talk about the Cleveland Guardians. And I'll give you my impact. And it's not just this Seattle or my idea. It's not just this Seattle series, but it's kind of this culmination of the way they've played fairly recently. Like they've had a really tough stretch of games recently, but it hasn't been great. And all of a sudden, guys, I'm starting to get nervous because this team, if you look at the way things have gone, 2022, they make the playoffs. That ragtag Oscar Gonzalez and that group of guys makes the playoffs. And they walk off Corey Kluber in the wild card, and it was awesome. And 2023 was one of the worst, most boring seasons I ever remember in the history of Guardians Indians baseball. Then 2024 last year was absolutely amazing, beginning to end. There was that magic there. Tom Hamilton says it best, right? The magic is back at the corner of Carnegie in Ontario. And all of a sudden, 2025 kind of started, and you didn't really know where they were going to go. And it was injuries, and it was rotation questions, and it was lineup questions. And all of a sudden lately, this team is starting to look a lot like that 2023 baseball team. And these games are becoming brutal, Matt.
It's like the lineup, they're going to have to create, not having the power and the umph. And I kind of got upset last week where I just didn't like their approach, where they were going up there swinging. I mean, when Abbott got to a complete game shutout and he was entering the ninth and he wasn't even at 100 pitches, that's bad approach. Like, I don't care what level you're playing at to get to that. That's just a bad approach. And I think they're pressing a little bit. I think they're tinkering with the lineup left and right, which is like it drives us all nuts. Like, I get that they're searching for this, but eventually you just got to pick your guys and say, we're going to leave this guy in the 2-hole. I know they're trying to find somebody to back clean up. Why they keep platooning Manzardo, I don't know. Like, there's just a lot of things going on right now. And I think they're trying to do two things. They're trying to compete while they're also figure out who this baseball team is. And we're in mid-June right now. It's usually not a good thing if you're just still trying to figure out who your baseball team is at this point.
Yeah, it's like we're in this like purgatory. Like, there's nothing to hang your hat on with this team, Matt. Like, the starting pitching is up and down. Like, the bullpen is up and down. Like, it's and just when you think they're starting to turn things around, things are starting to click. All of a sudden, Clase blows another save. Like, it's I don't know, this purgatory they're in is just so frustrating.
Things that it was just, if it was as simple as like, oh, just go trade for another starter, go trade for a closer, go trade for a bat, you'd be okay. Like, hey, go get that done. But there are so many things, and I think it's obviously the bullpen, who's still really good, but no way they're going to recreate what they did last year. They aren't getting opportunities in high leverage situations to get out there and actually have an impact. The rotation, I think, unfortunately, has actually been even worse, knowing that the bar was low. I like
Right.
Tanner Bybee. I'm not a giant believer of his. Like, I just don't. I just need more convincing that he's a top end guy in the rotation, just because I don't buy that. I'm a big Gavin Williams guy. He got shelled the other day. Lively's hurt. He's done. So it's like, if they get Cantillo stretched back out, he's down there in the minors trying to get stretched out. We're all waiting for Shane Bieber. Ortiz, it's like he either strikes out 9 or he gets lit up. Like, Ciccone, I am really excited to see him. Like, that guy didn't deserve to lose the last start that he did, but somehow did. He pulled a Paul Skeens. What was that game, 1-0 when he exited and he ended up taking a loss on it? Like, he's getting Skeens out there. But I'm excited to see him pitch tonight if I can make it to first pitch. But that's the future. I see it like being built, right? Like, you see the future of, like, obviously Bobby's not going anywhere. You still believe in Gavin Williams. You think you found something with Ciccone. So it's like it's hard for the right now, but if the pitching again is giving you those starts, it's like you're trying to fight a two-front war. I always say don't do that. And the two-front war is you actually get a good start, but then you just actually need to put up runs, and neither of those seem to work out. Or you get Logan Allen to go out there and pitch a good game, you put up 11 runs, and you basically haven't scored since. So it's like that's the frustration with this team right now for sure.
Yeah, 1-5 against the Reds this year, and Terry Francona. And man, some of those 11 runs would have been useful in other games. Would have been real nice in some of the other games. On the lineup side, and I said this last week, but it just keeps making itself apparent that with the lineup, you were going to need guys to step up. You were going to need guys to come out and do big things, and it started really well with Kyle Manzardo and Gabriel Arias and Daniel Schneemann, and some of these guys really stepped up. The problem in what has happened with the lineup, in my opinion, Matt, is you still have guys that are like, in my opinion, Gabriel Arias is still stepping up. Like, this is way better than anybody thought Gabriel Arias was going to be. Daniel Schneemann is playing better than people thought he was going to play. The guys that are stepping up, though, are guys that are like 7 or 8 hitters in like a decent lineup, right? Like if Gabriel Arias is playing like this and he's your 8 hitter, sweet, you don't care because he's playing like defensively, he's pretty good. And he comes out and gets some clutch hits now and then, and it's fine. The guys that you needed to really, the John Kenzie Noels or the Nolan Joneses or, Lane Thomas is battling those injuries. The guys that you really, Carlos Santana, needed to step up to be able to be like 2, 4, 5 hitters are also batting like 8 hitters. And so you've got a team filled, you've got Quan and Jose and a bunch of 8 hitters in the lineup. It's just, you can't win like that. It's not sustainable.
No, and then they're compounding it by rotating a lot of these guys. Schneemann's not getting consistent at bats. Like Martinez kind of is. Like Arias, I gets days off. But like that's kind of my thing is just leave them in there. Just leave them in there. Leave Angel or Schneemann in the 2-hole. Schneemann's your everyday second baseman. Arias is always going to start at short. You leave Angel Martinez in center. You move Lane Thomas to right. Nolan Jones, who I know is actually batting pretty well over the last couple of weeks. Sorry, man, you're going to get relegated to backup. You platoon Manzardo and Santana at first in DH, and when Jose needs the day off, sorry, one of those guys sits. But that's kind of my frustration, is to continue with Tinker. I know they want to get at bats for Fry, because he's come back. Like, obviously, the thing that they need to do is get him catching again. And I like, the problem is it's like Bo Naylor, they're not going to get rid of yet. And Hedges is good defensively and calls a good game. So it's not quite as simple as just saying like Fry's going to take at bats from those guys. So, I'm not envious of the situation that Stephen Vogt's in, and I get why he's kind of making the decisions that he is, but I think it's making it worse. I just think it is when these guys are showing up and not knowing where they're going to be or what they're doing that day. It's like, it makes it just that much worse. And, at a point you had like a career kind of resurgence or not resurgence, but he was having a really good year with Santana. And then he's obviously, it was funny. I was getting ready for the game that a good buddy of mine, we always throw, a couple parlays together, and we looked at Santana, and I was like, he has not had a 2-hit game in the month of July. He only has 1 extra base hit in the month of July, which was that home run, the grand slam that he hit.
Oh yeah.
And that's it. That's the only RBI don't quote me on the RBIs, but I know that was the only extra base hit that he's had all month, and he has not had a 2-hit game yet in the month of July. So like whatever you captured, like when everybody's like, wow, look at Santana turning around in May, that's been completely gone. So and the tough thing is if you keep going, I know it's a hot topic of everybody talking about, oh, the season's over or anything like that. It's not yet, but eventually that's something you're going to have to look at. I know Santana's been brought up, as is Lane Thomas, for the trade deadline. If you're still, if you find yourself out of it, could you trade him a contender? But yeah, he's one like, he is just here for this year. And if you really don't think you're going to be making a push, then either trade him or you're just going to have to let him go, because I'd rather get those at bats to somebody else.
So being in this purgatory that I was talking about, Matt, like, and like you said, you're tinkering with the lineup, tinkering with a lot of things that is kind of aggravating people right now, and team pressing. And, that being said, the season isn't halfway over yet. I know we're getting there, and we're getting, inching closer and closer to the trade deadline. I guess when is now the time to take drastic measures or get desperate and try and compete, or just being stuck in here? Like, I don't know. when is the time to cut bait with some of these guys, or when is it, how are they going to figure this out? I guess I want someone to tell me how to feel, Matt. Tell me how to feel.
Yeah. I mean, it's the ultimate Cleveland Guardians Indians thing over the last 15 years is we're going to be good in a couple of years. When that is going to be, I don't know, but we're going to get there eventually. Like, yeah, I mean, they've traded away some pieces and they've kind of had to let go of some pieces. And I think even more recently, you're seeing some of those other pieces that are off doing good things. And you're like, well, why'd you get rid of him or why'd you move off of him? But anyway, like, you know, I think we'd all feel different if Bazzana was still playing. Like, I really think that's a factor in this whole thing too. Like, if there was an excitement to bring him up or think he can contribute, I think people would be a little more excited, but he's injured. So that kind of hurts things. You know, I see guys that can be a part of the future. Like, I think Gabriel Arias can have a place on a playoff team. You know, I really do. Like, he hits the ball just so hard. It's unfortunate that, you know, sometimes he's not getting the luck that he's looking for, but I think Kame and Zardo is. So, like, you just check these boxes off, you know, Quan contract, see what that's all about. You know, Cade Smith is going to be a part of that. Hunter Gaddis will be a part of that.
Yeah.
So you grab onto that, but it's just like, yeah, it's hard because they're in this. Like, they're in this, maybe not so much now after the last week, but like one good week and they're right back in the wild card. And does that really matter? And I say, yeah, if you have a chance to fight for the playoffs and make it, absolutely. Like, it seems like the Tigers are going to run away with the division. That's fine. And it's crazy to think that at one point there were 3 teams that would have made the playoffs with 2 of them in the wild card from the Central. So they'll push. And I think eventually they'll have to understand that, yeah, it's, you know, I give them credit for having that good sense, like Antonetti and them, of knowing when to pull these trades. And I think, you know, you move off of Lane Thomas, you move off of Carlos Santana, no one's really going to bat an eye. They want to do Clase. Okay, then maybe you're going to have some people kind of wondering what's going on there, but you're going to probably get the return that they've just been so good on cashing back in on for so long. So I think that's going to be the big thing. It'll be the next couple of weeks to figure out, you know, where are we at, and is it time to think about some of those big moves like Clase? If you really don't think you're going to be able to sign Stephen Kwan to an extension, you know, that's the unfortunate thing that they're going to have to think about. But I'd hold on to it. I'd say just kind of gear up for another run next year if it starts to go bad this year. But I actually think they're going to have a chance to stay in this thing and kind of keep it interesting for the rest of the summer.
But I almost feel like take a page out of Detroit's. Remember, Detroit were sellers last year.
Yeah,
Detroit sold at the trade deadline last year, and then they went on a run. And that doesn't happen all the time. And I don't mean to suggest that that's just a thing you're going to hang your hat on, but I never want to like make it seem like I'm bad mouthing anybody, but is Lane Thomas anything more than dead weight at this point? No. Is Carlos Santana? I love Carlos, man. He's a Cleveland legend with this team. He did a lot of great things. It's not a bad mouthing, but he's kind of dead weight at this point. And so I think they should go full in for that. Like, hey, let's get some of these other guys up here and see if they can make an impact. Let's quit worrying about Chase DeLauder and the health and just bring him up here and see if his bat makes an impact in the lineup. Put Kyle Manzardo at first base every day. Get David Fry a spot in the lineup. And you brought it up, Matt. The guy that I've thought about more than anybody, and he's one of my favorite Guardians, is Emmanuel Clase.
Yeah.
The conversation would be real different if you didn't have Cade Smith sitting right behind Emmanuel Clase. But you do have Cade Smith sitting there. And so if you can get a haul for Emmanuel Clase in a season like this, I know people don't like to see guys go. And I love Emmanuel Clase. But with Cade Smith sitting right there, if you can get a haul, I'm taking it. And see if you can still contend and do it. I think the issue is you do it when you still have a shot. Instead of waiting and waiting and waiting, and then all of a sudden you fall out of it. Now you're out of contention. Now you're bringing these young guys up in a time where it's like, hey, welcome to the least fun part of a baseball season you're ever going to play. Do it when you still are in it and you have a chance, and see if these guys can revitalize it a little bit. That's what I would like to see them do.
They're always pretty good about identifying the right prospects or getting that, but like, let's say they do pull the trigger, you would hope you'd be getting like major league ready guys in addition to a prospect or two, you know, that turns into something. And that's unfortunately the Guardians kind of game, is that, yeah, they can sign a guy to a 5-year, $25 million deal. he turns into the best closer in baseball, and he's an absolute steal, that dream is going to end. You're going to wake up from that dream sooner rather than later. We're closer to that than not. And what you do is you just got to start that cycle over again and trade him off like you did Corey Kluber and find the next one that you can get on a cheap deal or still on a rookie deal or get a prospect that comes up. And, that's the unfortunate money situation of the Guardians until, David Blitzer fully takes over, which won't be anytime in the near future. But yeah, I mean, that's the game they got to play right now.
2028. Right, save us, David.
Yeah.
Save us.
Yeah.
2028.
The year of Blitzer. The year of Blitzer. All right, I want to do a couple quick hitters before we let you out of here, Matt. And I want to switch topics. I want to go over to the Browns for a minute. It was a good transition, actually. I was going to say closers are like the running backs of baseball. Their careers are usually flashy and fast, and unless it's Mariano Rivera, it usually isn't a 20-year situation. It's usually like, wow, that guy was awesome for 5 years, and that's it. So you transitioned us over to football, and I want to talk about the Browns, but I want to do it in a different. I don't want us to all try to sound smart, because I think we all spend so much time trying to sound smart about the Cleveland Browns, and I think we've all been smacked around enough that I think everybody, like, I've never seen anybody get so jaded so fast as Chad Meyer with the Cleveland Browns here.
Oh yeah, Matt,
he's ready to hate them.
Yeah,
I'm ready to hate them.
No, I'm not ready. I hate them.
You're there.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed already.
No, I'm giving 2 years. They can win me back. If they can, I will never not be a Browns fan, Matt. But I'm never. The blind support is going to be gone. It's gone until it's. I know it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, Matt. I know it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but this is my way of holding them accountable. Until you can put some sustainable product on the field, I don't care. You can go anything short of the AFC Championship or Super Bowl this year. I don't give a shit, because you have not proven to me you can put 2 consecutive years together. I'm done. I'm done.
I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't mean for this tangent.
Well, hey, I was going to get on my soapbox whether you wanted to or not.
We got it. No, you got to get it out.
Instead, here's what I want us to do. I don't want us to sound smart. I don't want us to try to put our best foot. I want to talk about this. What's the best case scenario for the Cleveland Browns this year? What is the absolute best case scenario?
Haven't thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, they win 12 games, make the playoffs, all that. I mean,
and Shador's your proven franchise guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's how you want the rookies to develop. You want one of those guys that you can say without a shadow of a doubt, this guy's our starter. And honestly, the weird thing I thought of was the 2007 season. Like, Flacco starts, he starts maybe 1 or 2 games. It isn't it. And then, Shador is your Derek Anderson, or Dylan Gabriel is your Derek Anderson, comes in, lights it up, throws for 1,000 yards a game or whatever, and proves that he's the guy. Because then you just look at your 2 top, at that point probably wouldn't be top 10 picks for you, but 2 first-round picks. You can use them on other positions. You can, solidify a receiver, offensive line, which is going to need all that help. Like, it's definitely best case scenario in this whole thing, is that Sanders or Pickett or Dylan Gabriel come out and show that they can be the guy. I just don't know. I don't know if they're going to get an opportunity to even do that, and I don't know when it's going to come. And at that point, the season might be gone already.
We talked about having a little faith in the Guardians front office, because even though they're so hamstrung, they seem to just pull the right strings. I don't know that the Browns have earned anything faith-wise from fans, but it strikes me, we've talked about this a little bit here, Matt. It strikes me that I know people love the idea of Joe Flacco. I know people love the idea of what he did here 2 years ago and the return of that, and it can be so much fun, but it strikes me that the worst case scenario is that Joe Flacco has to play this whole season. Like, that you don't learn anything about these guys unless it means for sure Shador Sanders isn't very good. For sure Dylan Gabriel isn't any good. Then you can use your 2 first-round picks on a quarterback. But, like, going into next offseason with question marks with those guys that you drafted this year, that strikes me as the worst case scenario, right?
But it's like I don't want to buy, like, it's going to sound like something that comes from Stefanski or something like that, but they'll see them in the meeting rooms and they'll see them on the practice field. And I would sit here and probably tell you guys that I don't know if there's anything that would stop the Browns from taking a quarterback in the first round next year, no matter what, because let's say that they do play Dylan Gabriel at some point. Let's say Shedeur Sanders gets 3, 4, 5 starts. They each get 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, starts, and they look okay, maybe show some promise. That wouldn't stop me. That wouldn't stop me using the Jags pick or the Browns and Jags pick to move up. And if you really like Norris Sellers or you really like Garrett Nussmeier or you really like one of those quarterbacks, go get them. And it's you skip this position or you skip that. The Browns haven't had a quarterback, since Baker, but still in general, like that's what they've been searching for as a long-term franchise quarterback. Draft them all. Take them all. Take as many as you can. And if you sit back there and you go into next season with Sanders and Dylan Gabriel and a drafted rookie and you're going to figure all that out, it's a good problem to have, So I think it's certainly a priority, and I would like that personally. I would like one of the rookies to be able to take that job and start week 1. I just don't think that's going to happen. But, they'd still be able to evaluate those guys and try to get their answer. And kind of like you said, Mike, I think it's more of like it actually just might be more about like a process of elimination of like, can we unequivocally say that this guy can't do it? And in a way that's good too, because at least, again, you can figure it out. Now, whoever drafted Sanders or whoever went into that pick, whatever, but if they can get through a season and come out the other side and maybe have a question of like, yeah, maybe he can do it. But if they can come out and say, we can't, a little DTR maybe, where they're like, listen, we tried, it didn't work. And just, we know that, that kind of works out too. So
it feels like the image the Browns have portrayed over the last few years. And I think it's one of the things they've been really good at. They've portrayed this image of a united front with Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. They are always very much on the same page, very much in lockstep in how they talk and how they approach things and how they present themselves. But it does feel like this year we're gonna find out some real answers to what kind of leash and what kind of leeway Jimmy Haslam has actually given these guys, right? Because if Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry decide, you know what, we don't really learn a lot by throwing Joe Flacco out there. Like, we just don't really learn a lot by having a 40-year-old quarterback that's probably going to retire. And, he's not going to tell us about the future of our position here. So we'd rather learn by putting some of these other guys out there and see what we have and see if these guys can take us and see if we made the right pick somewhere. It feels like if they're pretty quick to do that, if they're pretty quick to jump into that, it's risky for a job situation. It feels like maybe that lockstep thing is a real thing, doesn't it? Like they really are on the same page and they're moving it together, because I can't imagine coming off a 3-win season. And I know he's a 2-time coach of the year, but Kevin Stefanski wants to keep his job.
Yeah. And I do think he's more secure than Andrew Berry. So that's the interesting thing about Flacco. He really only helps Kevin Stefanski, right? Like, if Joe Flacco goes out there and plays well, nobody's throwing bouquets at Andrew Berry. Why? You didn't do anything. You signed a guy that was already here that no other team really wanted to sign. There's no prop there. So if he goes out there and plays well, all that's going to do is prop up Kevin Stefanski already, who I think is more secure in his job than Andrew Berry. So Andrew Berry is basically in an 0-2 hole right now. Like, he's got 2 strikes against him, where the 2 guys that are out there to really reflect on his drafting and his picks probably aren't going to play. And then beyond that, if they do, their 3rd and 5th round picks, like, it's going to be hard. Like, I do think there's a little pressure off Berry, at least for me, that I love the Mason Graham move. I loved that trade. I thought it was perfect, and it just worked out so well. Save that clip from when Travis Hunter is one of the best receivers in football, and I'll probably be singing a different tune. But for right now, I love it, But yeah, I mean, the thing is, this all, take away the Watson thing. We know that doesn't need to be said. We all know what happened. We all know what happened there. And set that aside. Okay, that's fine. What else has Andrew Berry done? Okay, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, well, career's in jeopardy. MJ Emerson kind of got exposed. Jed Wills is basically out of football. Go down the list. Like, I liked the Grant Delpit pick. I thought that was fine. We'll see on Judkins and Sampson. Like, I think those were 2 good picks. We'll see on Schlesinger, like all that. So it's like it's hard because even if you want to absolve him of the biggest kind of mistake there, or the biggest issue that you have, it's still going to be hard to kind of point out other things that he's really aced and really done a really good job at figuring out. So, that's, again, I think if you set that aside, you say, listen, you had all your compliments, you had all your draft picks, maybe -1 that they told him to take, but that's okay. You had all your picks. This is it. And we'll see how these guys play this year and kind of take it from there. But yeah, at the end of the day, this team's not going to go anywhere until they find out who their franchise quarterback is going to be. I hope it's Dylan Gabriel. I hope it's Shedeur Sanders. I really don't care who it is. I just need to find one. And it's probably one of those 2 guys over the rest.
All right. That feels like so much enough, Browns, for June 17th, 2025. Last question before we let you get out of here so you can go get ready for this. By the way, it's so great that the Giants traded for Rafael Devers right before the Guardians got there. I'm so excited for that.
He's
so
playing first base or something. I was taking grounders at first base.
Super. That's so awesome. It's so awesome because he never smashes the ball against the Guardians for sure.
That's big for him.
Save that.
Perennial DH right there.
Yeah.
All right, because I want to say we touched all the bases in Cleveland sports. I'm going to ask you one quick hitter here on the Cavaliers before we let you out of here. Yeah. Are you on team they got to make a big move, or are you on team this team can win? They just need to run it back and see what happens?
I gotta have a move. I gotta have something. I don't want him to get taken. That's the hard thing, is to sit there and tell Kobe Altman, like, hey, make a move, but don't get taken. Like, I've seen this core 4. I've seen enough, and I think there's going to be massive trades. I think there's going to be so much movement that they can find a way to slip in to a 3-team deal. Like, listen, I ain't giving up 4 first-round picks for Desmond frickin' Bain.
That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
That's terrible. And, like, he's a fine player. Like, outside of that, and I know they had to get off the KCP contract, and that was probably more worth it to them than anything. And I guess you could make the case Orlando got a little, or whatever. Fine.
Matt, the Lakers gave up 1 first-rounder for Luka.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. That's the crazy part of that. Right. I saw that. Yeah, that graphic was going around too. Like, how that happens, I don't know.
Can you guys imagine? Like, can you guys just picture Nico Harrison in his office going, yeah, all right,
yeah,
made that happen.
I feel like the Magic GM called him and was like, "Hey, I need your advice on this trade," and he was like, "Do it,
do it, yeah, do it, yeah."
Yeah. The rest of his staff is in the office going, "What the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing?" And that's that again. It's like, and it's going to be. I think there is going to be some craziness in it. Not just like Durant's going to get moved. We know that. There'll be other shifts and that kind of stuff. But like, that's where the Cavs can work, because now they can just be a 3rd team. Dump this guy here, move on from this guy, whatever. It's just you thread a needle. Or I need to move. I need something. I'd like to keep Garland. Like, I think Jared Allen's probably the first one up here. See what you can get back. If you can move off maybe like an Okoro. I'd rather not move off a Dean Wade, but Danny Cunningham does Locked On Cavs. I've worked Danny forever, and he's starting to wear me down. That it might have to be a guy like Dean Wade that might have to go to. But, if the right Garland deal comes, it's just tough with the toe and the surgery. Like, I don't know, many people are lining up to trade for him until they see him back on the court. But, yeah, Kobe Altman, like, I've said this, like, he's done a great job to this point. I think he's built a fine basketball team. This offseason will tell the story about his general managership in Cleveland. Like, that's just he's done a great job to this point, and throw roses, and he did this and he did all that. None of it matters up until what he does this offseason, because this team is not good enough. And it's not just a mindset thing for me, when it comes to them. I got to have something. It's hard. Again, I don't want him sitting there trading Darius Garland for,
Jalen Suggs.
Yeah, or, Malik Monk, or, straight up like, here, go get Herb Jones, something like that. Like, that's not that, but it's like, you got to make something make sense here. And try to get after it. So, again, I think it helps him, and I think it's going to help the Cavs that this is supposed to be a pretty active and pretty crazy offseason. So, let him slip into a 3-team deal somewhere, unload something, try to get under the apron, bring somebody else in, switch it up a little bit, and kind of go from there.
I think that's really interesting. The more I think about it, the more I think, they made that move in the middle of the year last year at the deadline. They brought in DeAndre Hunter. And I honestly do think, because we've talked about it for so many years, even before Donovan Mitchell, we've talked about the need for a wing, the need for a guy out on the wing, and starting Max Strus isn't the answer on the wing. Even though I kind of like Max Strus, but I'd love to see him as like this one of the 6th, 7th men off the bench.
Yeah.
But if DeAndre Hunter, this is like, to me, this is like the crux of how I would think about the offseason. If I think DeAndre Hunter can just come out and be the starting 3, I'm perfectly happy to run it back with this group of guys, because I think he can make that big of an impact, that big of a difference on the team for a full season and into the playoffs. If I think he is just a guy that's going to come off the bench, which, again, nothing wrong with that. He's a very important piece to the bench. But if I think that's what he is, and we're going to run it back with kind of a question mark, just kind of a throw-in jag guy in the starting lineup at the 3, like, I know everybody loves to talk about it. Like, it doesn't matter who starts. It matters who finishes, all that stuff. But it does matter. It does matter who the guys are that you're building this identity of your team around, and who you're throwing out there to start the game, because that's who you want out there to finish the game anyways. And I think he's a crux of it. I honestly, I think if they believe in him, do I see, like, do I say they should make no moves? No. I mean, Isaac Okoro should be brought up a little bit. Dean Wade, I think, should be brought up a little bit. You see if you can make your depth a little bit better. You got a decision to make with Ty Jerome. But I really do feel like if you can throw a really good wing player in with those other 4 guys, it makes a whole big difference to this team. And we only, we've seen the core 4 for a minute now, but we've only seen them with a guy of his caliber for that half a season.
Yeah, and I loved the trade, and at the time everybody said, hey, be ready because it's going to put you in the second apron, and here we are, and I don't regret it, and I like it a lot. Yeah, I mean, the wings are, I know Shea and Jalen Williams are guards, by trade, but they're 6'5", they're 6'6".
Right.
They create their own shots. They can do it on the inside and the outside. Garland and Mitchell can create their own shots. I'm not saying they are, but, like, it's just harder for them to get to the rack. And when they are, they're getting hit in the face and they're getting bodied, and it's making it even that much harder. And it's like, that's what they really need. Like, and I'm not saying the Hunter can't do this, but, like, they need that slashing type of 6'6" type of guy. That's definitely not Max Strus. DeAndre can do it probably a little bit better, but just a guy like that, just to take a little bit of pressure off for sure. And it's just switched up. Just try something a little bit different. You tried the 2 bigs and the 2 guards. It's got me to this point. I'm ready to kind of get in line with the rest of the NBA on what's really working. And yeah, it's at this point, it really starts with your win. You still got your Jokic's, you still got your Giannis's. I'm not saying you don't, but it's a lot of 6'5", 6'6" guys that are electric and create their own shots, and the Cavs don't really have that right now.
All right, Matt Fontana, listen, man, we're going to let you go. You go get ready for this Guardians game out in San Francisco if you can make it. But if you want to hear more of Matt's great takes and everything you've got going on, check out the Matt Fontana Show on Bigplay, where just a bunch of big stuff's going on. Matt, we really appreciate you coming on. Go follow Matt on the socials, and appreciate you having a beer, talking sports with us, and let's do it again sometime, okay?
You guys let me know. I appreciate you, boys. Thank you so much.
Hey, Matt.
Yep.
What's the most exotic thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, boy.
I heard you guys talking about it. I ate cat food on the air one time. I don't know if it's exotic, but
wait, what?
Yeah. So, long story short, I was on Riz's show, and they had a contest going because it was Hollow Weekends at Cedar Point. So they put a contest out to let people submit what was the grossest thing you ever ate. And somebody mentioned pig brains, and somebody mentioned this and this, whatever. So the whole gimmick was whatever won, I was going to eat. And the winner was like barbecued pig brains. Well, of course, the day comes up and they go, well, we couldn't track down any barbecued pig brains.
What?
I'm like, oh, shocking, right? Of course you couldn't. So all they did was go next door to, like, there was a little mini mart in the Galleria where we used to be, and they found a jar of cat food and poured mustard on it. Oh. And they were like, well, you said you'd eat the grossest thing. And I was like, well, yeah, I said I'd eat pig brains. I didn't say I'd eat that. So I ate that. So I would say that was, I guess, I don't know if you want to call that exotic, I guess, but yeah.
Well, it's definitely different.
It's definitely different. I still to this day can taste it. Like, I still smell it. I still think about it. It's not good.
Just see it in my nightmares.
Yeah, and it was like, it was just, it was all bad. It was not good. Riz tried to get me out of it. He was like, no, you don't have to do this, and we didn't sign up for this. And I was like, well, I did tell everybody I would do it, so I went through it. That's not the grossest thing. Well, that's not the grossest thing that anybody at that station has ever eaten, but that's a story for another day. So,
oh God,
at least it wasn't that. At least it wasn't that.
Hey, sorry, I meant to say one last thing to you, and Chad, you brought this up to me. Our buddy Andy Bullbarch wanted us to say hi to you. So.
Oh, I love dude. It's so funny. It's actually, I'm so glad that he and Munch are back on the Crushers games. And it's funny. I was just thinking about Bull today because I'm going to say my son's school. They sent us the flyer for the event for like August. Is the whole school's going to the Crushers games?
Yep.
So the Crusher game. So I'm like, yep, sign us up for tickets. I'll see him real soon. I love Bull's the man. Yeah, he. I called a Notre Dame college football game, several actually, with Bull way back in the day. So tell him I said hi for sure.
Will do. All right, Matt. Thank you for coming on with us. We'll talk to you later. Again, check out Matt on the Matt Fontana Show. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you later, Matt.
See you guys.
Yep.
Hey, big shout out to Matt Fontana again. Go check him out on Twitter at MattFontana83. Go follow his show, the Matt Fontana Show, on Twitter at Bigplay there. But that was a lot of fun, man. Good dude. A guy that we've sent messages back and forth for a while, and he was real cool. We sent out one last week. He couldn't make it last week, but he's like, mark it down, pencil it in. Next week, I am in. So having a beer, talking a little sports with Matt Fontana. Again, make sure you check out his show. All right, boys. We're actually like running on like our normal schedule this week, which is
weird.
This is
shocking.
Amazing. So let's do our little mid-show, our little mid-show segment that we do, our asshole of the week, where we call out people for being assholes. And you know what? I'm going to start.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I think I'm just going to call out humanity at this point. Like
all right.
I'm borderline ready to sign up for the asteroid and just let's reset this thing and try it again. Like
the asteroid. Okay.
Why does everybody suck? Like, I guess that's my question.
Yeah.
Why can't we all just look around and be like, shit, I'm gonna be dead in like
who knows?
I'm gonna be dead in like 30, 40, 50 years anyways. So like just do you, I'm gonna do me. Let's leave each other alone. Let's maybe have some beers together. And I don't care. I don't care really what you decide to do with your life or who you vote for or who you love or who you pray to or what. I just don't give a shit. I probably am not going to bomb you, and let's just be done. Let's
all right.
So for me, just all of humanity is just being a royal asshole right now, and I think they all need called out. Okay. All right. Well, hey, Neil deGrasse Tyson says it's going to hit us in 2036 anyway, so we don't have that much longer. You guys better live it up. You know what? I'm 2036. I'm 51. I've had a good run.
Here we go. It's been a great life.
I'm gonna be out on my driveway, sunglasses on, in a lawn chair, just having a beer, watching it come in.
You got your Guardians Eclipse glasses,
just fucking belly out,
crap a cup of garage beer, and there you go.
Hell yeah!
End of the world party. Let's go.
Let's go. All right, yeah. Well, that's mine. It's a big, broad, sweeping, general one, but I think it's well deserved. Chad, who's your asshole of the week this week?
I'm gonna go my father-in-law. Belly's not starting to feel too good, so here we go.
Garage Bears.
Belly's not feeling too good.
Nope. Starting to feel a little twinge there in the old belly. So I don't know if this is going to turn into anything, but if it, I better just preemptively just make my father-in-law the asshole.
Garage Bears of the week. Let's go.
Yeah.
Note to self: bear balls. Maybe don't try them.
Yeah. Or just make sure they're cooked right.
Joe.
I mean, it's no doubt going to be the Guardians, and they'll also probably be my cheer of the week as well. But it wasn't Friday night when they had a tie game into the bottom of the seventh and gave it up. Thanks, Tim Herron. It wasn't, and also Hunter Gaddis. It wasn't Emmanuel Clase blowing it in the bottom of the ninth inning where the Guardians played a really good game up until that point. It was Sunday when I took time to go to the game. I was by myself on Sunday and they played a 2-hour and 4-minute game. Like, not even enough time to get settled. Like, I feel like you're in the stadium prepping for the game to start longer than that game is going on. And like, I love that there's a faster pace to play in the MLB, but a 2-hour game is ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. Like,
Like,
if you're out in the ballpark, like, come on. Give me 2.5 hours. That's all I want. 2.5 hours is perfect. Great sweet spot. Not too long. You get settled in. You can grab a hot dog, grab a beer or two, and you can enjoy the game. But 2 hours is just too fast.
Yeah. Like you go up and you get a hot dog in a 1-0 game, and you come back and you're in the 6th inning already. You're like, what the fuck did I?
And if you left in the 2nd inning to grab a bite to eat in that game, you missed all the action, and the game was over by the time it was like, it's just like, it's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, the Guardians are the asshole for the week for that.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah,
assholes.
It was their fault. It was their fault. It was so fast too.
Yeah,
undoubtedly.
They're my second asshole. They can be my second asshole too. I concur with you, Joey, because this whole, we didn't get to it during Matt's discussion with Matt, but this whole 1 year good, 1 year not thing is just, it's getting old. It's getting really fucking old. Yeah. Just try. Just 1 year. Just try. Like, I know you did with the whole Edwin Encarnacion thing, but
go back to that.
Just try.
Yeah. Listen, you were in the ALCS last year.
Right.
If there's ever a time to do what you did in 2017 and go make those two flashy signings,
right,
and bring in Edwin Encarnacion and get, they did it in 2016, but get Andrew Miller on the trade, on through a trade or whatever.
Right.
If there's ever a time to do it, you do it. This is, I will go back to this for all of eternity and forever. If you read interviews from Mark Shapiro when he was the general manager of the Cleveland Indians in 2017, he has said it. His biggest regret from his tenure as the Cleveland Indians general manager is that when they got to the ALCS in 2007, he thought they were just going to be good enough again in 2008. Well, remember what happened in 2008? One, Cliff Lee won the Cy Young, which is awesome, but they traded CC Sabathia. They traded Victor Martinez. They were not as good as they were in 2007. They do this all the time. They just rest their laurels. It's just like, hey, and I know it is built into Cleveland baseball fans to defend them and be like, well, just because you spend money doesn't mean you're going to win. You're right. It doesn't. It doesn't mean you're going to win. It doesn't even guarantee you that you're going to be as good as you were the year before. But at least the fans can see the effort. At least the fans can say, well, hey, they went to the ALCS last year and they knew they were going to have a hole at shortstop and they went and filled that hole. Or they knew they were going to have a hole in right field. And instead of trading Tyler Freeman for Nolan Jones straight up, which should have told you something, they went out and addressed the need at right field and brought in somebody and made a big splashy move. We're not asking, again, I think everybody goes to the extremes on these conversations. Nobody's asking for the extremes. Nobody's asking for the Cleveland Guardians to be the Dodgers or the Yankees or whatever. They're asking for them when you're this fucking close. You're right fucking there.
Yeah.
And you're right. You are on the cusp.
2 games away from a World Series.
A world. Last year you were 6 wins away from a world championship.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting back and being like, that was fun, let's do that again next year. Go out and say, hey, let's give ourselves the best chance to not just do that again next year, but get over the hump. And instead, it's always the same damn thing. It is always the same thing.
There's
on their laurels. And listen, there are so many years of them resting on their laurels, and then it doesn't work the next year.
Right. There's $70 or $80 million players you can have out there that are just for the Guardian, like just specifically for those guys that can contribute to an ALCS team. Like, but I want to ask you, do you guys think, obviously the financial part is a big part of it, but is the other part like an ego thing? Like, do they just have that much confidence in their system and their guys developing? Oh, it's strictly cash.
No, I want to be real clear on this. If the front office, if the guys running the Guardians if they got a call from the Dolans all of a sudden that said, hey, you know what? Let's just add $100 million to payroll. They'd be like, yes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fair enough.
They wouldn't be like, nah, nah, we can do
Yeah.
this without that. Hell
That's
no.
what I was curious.
Hell no.
I also want to like make this distinction because we talk about kind of the opposite with the Cavs, where it's like, like I think in generally our opinions, like we don't want to see a lot of tinkering with this team in the offseason. I think there's pieces you can add, but like it's a very different thing in baseball where there's so many levers you can pull in baseball. There's so many different areas that contribute to this team that like you have to make these moves to stay relevant. And you don't have to make the biggest splashes in the offseason, but you have to do something. And where they're getting lucky over the past couple of years is they have a really good season. They do nothing. But then there's other guys that come up towards the end of that season that then go off on the tear next season. That's what happened in the past 5 years with this team. And, you're in that point where like you're going to start to see the DeLautners come up. You're going to see the Bazanas come up maybe this season, maybe next season. But like you're going to start seeing that. And then it's going to be like, okay, like there's a window open. But where this team is like just unable to take advantage of the most obvious situation is that the AL Central blows. Like the Tigers are good, but like a couple moves and we can beat the Tigers.
Yeah.
Listen, but
It's
the
a
other
weak
thing,
division.
the other thing.
You have an automatic bid to the playoffs every year with this division right now, and you're giving the Tigers a window to close that gap and to be the dominant team in the Central. And it's just you're losing your window here.
The difference, the big stark difference between like the Cavs and the, people say, didn't you just argue to not change the Cavs? You do know the Cavs spend more money than any team in the NBA. They spend all the money.
Yeah.
The freaking Cleveland Browns, they're really bad at it, but they spend more money.
Yeah.
They spend so much money.
That's
Jimmy
one thing you can give the Browns, right? At least they try, right? For as shitty as they are, at least they try to improve every offseason.
And listen, they're the example of like, just because you spend money doesn't mean it's going to work. But like, at least the opportunity is there. And again, I will say this until I'm blue in the face. If you can't, in the height of, if you're a small market team with a low payroll, in the height of some of your young guys coming up and showing that they belong at the majors, when you've made the ALCS the year before, if you can't just be like a 15 payroll, if you can't just be in the middle of the pack, you shouldn't own a goddamn baseball team.
Yeah.
We're not asking you to be a top 3 payroll. We're not asking you to be a top 5 payroll. We're not asking you to be a top 10 payroll. We're asking you to be like 15. Because do you have any idea what these guys could put together if they had like the 15th ranked payroll in baseball?
Yeah.
And again, if you're new to the podcast, if you're new to hearing us talk about it, I'll say it again. You can talk the payroll doesn't matter all you want, but only one team has won the World Series since 2000 with a bottom half payroll in baseball, and that was the 2003 Marlins. Only 2 teams have won it with a bottom half payroll at the beginning of the season. That includes the Royals that won it in the 2010s. They had a top half payroll by the time that season was over, but they started with a bottom half payroll. That's it. So you're not going to sit here and tell me it doesn't matter. You're not going to sit here and tell me it doesn't matter. It matters more than anything. Everybody sits and talks about parity in baseball. Yeah, maybe there's parity, but it's all top half baseball teams that are winning World Series. The parity is amongst the top half teams. That's it.
Yep. Now, I don't think, for this season, like, obviously there's still a chance to get to the playoffs. I don't think anyone should, like, say that's completely out of the question at this point. This team can go on some runs here. But everybody in Cleveland should be mad at this ownership right now. Because you were there and you did not improve.
Do you know where I got real mad at them this week? I could have made them my asshole of the week. I think it was Jeff Passan, who's a Cleveland boy, who I think he came out with a report that said it may have been, I don't remember who it was, but came out with a report that said, hey, they're going to get ready to go into these negotiations. And a lot of people are expecting a baseball shutdown in 2 years, I think. And he said there's never been a stronger push for a salary cap in baseball amongst the owners than there is right now. This is it. Here's where I got mad. With a salary cap, which you would think the owners would vote for, there is a salary floor.
Right.
You cannot have a cap without a floor. We've talked about this a lot. And then I got mad because I went, I bet you $1,000 the Cleveland Guardians would vote against a salary cap because it came with a salary floor.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I would bet you my mortgage that if the vote came to pass amongst the owners of do we institute a salary cap that would really help to level this thing out? Do we add a salary cap, even though it means there's a salary floor? I bet you my damn mortgage that the Cleveland Guardians would vote against it.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone would disagree with you.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at.
So
That's where we're at with them.
So dumb.
All right. Maybe the Guardians are just our overall asshole of the week. Add them into humanity.
Deal. All right, deal.
Add them into humanity.
They're part of humanity.
Yeah,
They're
show,
humans.
damn it.
Easy, Joe.
Stop taking me on the show.
You turn your
Camera's off for like 2 seconds.
Yes. When
Yeah.
the camera goes off, you go out of the show. That's how this works.
That was the first that during that Matt interview, by the way, that was the first time my internet just told me to go fuck myself. Like,
It totally
like
did.
yeah, it did. Like all of a sudden, my internet just went no. Like it just a thing on my screen said no.
Harold might be my cheer of the week just because of this comment. Thank you, Harold.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
you
well, no.
Love stroking the ego.
You don't
And
need to
I
inflate
appreciate-
his ego, Harold.
By the way, appreciate you watching on YouTube, Twitch, everywhere. We do have good news. I want to throw this out before we get to just kind of some quick hitters before we get out of here. We have had this wild glitch situation for like the past month and a half.
Yeah.
Where our episodes have gone on Twitch and YouTube, but you haven't been able to listen to them on iTunes or Spotify or wherever. And that's a lot of people listen there. Through a lot of hard work from Joey, through a lot of hard work from the people at Blue Wire. And I do want to give a shout out to our old buddy, Jake Burns. We got this thing squared away. And as of tomorrow, all of our previous episodes, the ones that haven't posted to iTunes and all that, they're all going to post. This one will post and we'll be back up and running on the podcast side of things. So if you like to listen to us, if you can't catch us live, you like to listen in the car or whatever, please, please, please. Thank you for your patience. Check us out. Starting tomorrow, we're all back and up and running. Okay. Quick hitters. Then I've got a little game again to end the show.
Love it.
So quick hitters. One, looks, fellas, like we're going to be crowning a Stanley Cup champion tonight. We are at the end of the second period in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, and the Florida Panthers look like they're going to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. They are beating the Edmonton Oilers 3-0, dominating this game. They dominated in Game 5, and it looks like the Panthers, unless the Oilers just magically wake up in this one, it looks like the Panthers are going to go back-to-back. Sergei Bobrovsky going to be back-to-back Stanley Cup winning goaltender. Boys, thoughts? The whole hockey season seems like it's culminating tonight.
Yeah, I think I'll go quick. I know you probably got some thoughts here, Chad, but going into this, like I thought the Panthers were the better team here. I thought that this was a pretty no contest. What I did not expect from this series is how bad the team play would be out of Edmonton. The amount of penalties they took, stupid penalties where it showed that Florida was so under their skin. They were just completely out of control with how they play. Like it's a much better team than what we saw in this series. I was hoping for a much longer series here, but Florida's a better team. And they showed it. They can beat you with skill. They can beat you with just straight up mind games and just being the more dominant presence on the ice. And they deserve to win it this year. I hate that they're winning it back to back. The Rat gets himself another cup here, but they deserve it.
Chad, I know you're gonna go here, but you just brought up Brad Marchand, the Rat. You'd be hard pressed to find a guy that was more perfectly suited for a situation at the trade deadline than Brad Marchand was for the Florida Panthers. That has worked out. When they made that deal, they went, but what if it could be this? And that's exactly what it turned out to be. Like he was unbelievable. Anyway, sorry, Chad. Go ahead.
No. I'm not going to rule it out yet because Edmonton has all of the ability in the world to put up 3 goals in this third period.
Yeah.
And they've done it like they've done it this series. But still, if it does turn out that Florida does win this cup, yeah, I mean, it's the way that they were able to adjust this series, right? Because in the 2 games that Edmonton has won, It's just been an onslaught of offense, and they made the Florida Panthers look silly. They made Sergei Bobrovsky look silly. But the way that they adjusted in their wins, right? Like in game 5, the defensive anticipation that they played with, able to get into passing lanes, right? They almost laid off of Connor McDavid, right? Instead of playing him one-on-one, they almost decided to just kind of play back and get in his passing lanes and let him shoot and let Bob, see if he could save it and take their chances there. But the fact that they were unable to, or they were adjusted defensively and not allow Connor to make plays, which is what he is just all world at, I think was one of the biggest differences in this series. One of the biggest differences in culminating in a possible back-to-back Stanley Cup win tonight. As far as the penalties go, yeah, there was a lot of retaliation penalties, and that's a little bit frustrating because Florida is a very physical, a very chippy, a very in your face after the whistle contact type of team. They want to get under your skin, they want to get into your head, and it clearly happened with Edmonton because, like you said, Joey, taking the number of penalties that they did or that they have, but Florida they know who they are and they do it to a T, and it's turning out into another Stanley Cup victory because this is a team that is just there's no weaknesses. There's absolutely no weaknesses in this Florida team. You have to out-execute them. You have to outsmart them. You have to out-physical them. You have to beat them in all phases of the game, and it was hard to do. The team that came the closest to it was Toronto, and I think that says more about Toronto than it does Florida this year. So yeah, if Florida, without a doubt, best team in the league, they deserve this back-to-back win, and we'll. If you're Edmonton, you're going to go into this offseason. Honestly, I don't think they have to do much. They have to find a goaltender. That's the biggest thing they have to do is they have to find a goaltender because Edmonton has played well. They did. They've played well. It's just Florida is just too good. That's it. They were just the better team, like Joey said.
So what do we learn? Anytime you see a team that wins a cup and then turns around the next year and does it, like winning, we know this in Cleveland more than anything else. Winning a title is the hardest thing to do in sports, unless you want to talk about winning it twice. That's the next goddamn hardest thing to do in sports is to back-to-back a title. What do you learn? Let's tie it into what we are calling the biggest offseason in Columbus Blue Jackets history. And let's tie it in that way, Chad. Knowing that the Blue Jackets are coming into this offseason with the most cap space, what happened?
Doesn't matter.
What?
Because there's an intangible to it, Michael. There's an intangible here.
Well, no.
There's an absolute intangible that is above all else, all money you can spend in the world.
Yes.
And that is, Boz, shut up. That is experience and that is execution. You saw it for years with Tom Brady and the Patriots. Teams that can get hot at the end of the season and then have a playoff mentality to carry them through the postseason. Those are the teams that win, and those are the teams that can do it again. Florida is that team. The Patriots were that team. You see that with the Cavs. Hot all season, cold towards the end of the season, cold in the playoffs. Like, that is not a winning success to when you won championship, let alone two. And for the Blue Jackets, for them, we're not obviously you have to continue to build that identity that they've worked really hard on this year. But you have to get to that postseason. You have to have the guys experience those playoff series. And then you have to build on that. You have to find that winning mentality late in the season. That's the hardest thing to do because you can win 60 games. Well, you're not going to win 60 games, but you can play well 60 games out of the year. But if you're not playing well in March, it doesn't matter what you do in February. It doesn't matter what you do in October. It's all about getting hot at the right time with these teams and then having the winning mentality to carry you through the playoffs. Sorry, go ahead.
Go on. I don't.
Fuck you, Joe. No,
I don't disagree at all. Joe, 1,000% right. But the question, for the purpose of goddamn conversation, it's a podcast, Joe.
No.
For the purpose of conversation is, what do you learn from the Florida Panthers? How they've built their team. When you are Don Waddell, who has built teams, and your Dean Evison is the coach. what do you learn in this big, massive offseason for the Columbus Blue Jackets on how you can start, Joe, how you can start to put together what Joe was just talking about, a team that isn't just going to be like, oh, yay, we made the playoffs once, woo, but a team that can go out there and contend for Stanley Cups year after year after year after year?
Well, to start, it's very hard to repeat that, right? Like Joe, you mentioned Tom Brady, and that same mindset and the playoff mentality and the winning mentality every year. It's hard to do that in hockey, right? It's hard to do that year after year after year in hockey, because there eventually comes a time where you've played too much hockey and it just it gets tired. You get physically drained, right? I mean, look at the Penguins winning their back-to-back. They after that, they've flamed out in the playoffs ever since, right? The Panthers are going to win the Stanley Cup tonight, right? And they've got about 2 months off before they have to start training again. Like the season's going to come up on them quickly. So it's you can have that same mentality, and they're going to be good and make the playoffs next year. But the questions are going to start to come into play. Whether have they played too much hockey, and they will have played too much hockey going into next season. So it's going to be it's a rarity that you see teams go 3, 4, 5, 6 championships in a row. It's very, very hard to do. But that being said, to the question of the Blue Jackets, what can you learn from the Florida Panthers? Continue to establish that identity. Get mentally tougher. I think those are probably the first two things that you have to work on, right? Because the Jackets, even though they had a great year last year, you have to continue to build on that, because they see the result of what that builds on, right? Of what that build is like, right? You have to keep this team together. You have to build continuity. You have to continue building chemistry, because a team like Edmonton, a team like Florida, they know where each other's at on the ice at any point, right? It's to the point where they almost don't even have to look, and they know, boom, my teammate's going to be in this certain position at this certain time. So they have to continue to build on that. I would say those are the first couple of steps that you can take from both of these teams, not just Florida, both of these teams.
Love it. All right, boys. Obviously we've got the NHL finals coming down. It looks, again, you're right. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but man, Florida has been awesome. So looks like they're going to raise the cup tonight. You'll be able to watch it after this if that's what happens. On the NBA side, it really looks like that series is over. The Oklahoma City Thunder take a 3-2 series lead. Tyrese Halliburton looks like he's not even going to play, or if he does play, he's going to be hurt in Game 6. Not that he's played really well in the series anyways, which he hasn't, except for early in the series. But it looks like these two seasons are about to come to an end right at the same time. Looks like we're going to have titles in Oklahoma, titles in Florida. The South reigns supreme in hockey and basketball, which is backwards, but that is what it is. But boys, I want to play a little game before we get out of here for episode 268 of the Garage Beers podcast. And we're going to play a game. And this game is called Buzzed or Benched.
Oh, okay. All right.
Buzzed. Wait a minute. Get the pour. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Buzzed.
Sounds like peeing.
Buzzed
Sounds
or
like
bent or benched.
Peeing. Hey, there we go. I was waiting. We needed some sort of theme.
Oh, God, it keeps going. All right, so here's the example. Buzzed is something that actually happened in Cleveland sports, athletes, fans, in Cleveland sports history. Buzzed is something that actually happened. Like, this is a thing that happened. Benched is something totally made up. You've got to decide what I say is either buzzed or benched. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. The first example is real easy. Remember, buzzed is true, benched is false. Example number one, a Browns fan got a tattoo saying Super Bowl champs 2023 in 2019.
Buzzed.
Oh, it is buzzed. I'm just going to play the open because that takes too long.
I was
Yeah.
okay. I thought you were just going to keep opening beers over there.
Here's another one. In 2004, a Cavs player was ejected for drinking a beer courtside with the fans.
Benched?
You both say benched. It is?
Yeah.
It is benched. It is benched.
Oh, okay. All right.
That is correct. All right.
Woo!
So there's 10 questions. This is buzzed or benched. Question number 1. A Browns fan once legally changed his name to Johnny Cleveland during Johnny Manziel's rookie year. Buzzed or benched?
I'd like to phone a friend.
Sounds possible.
Is my friend Johnny Cleveland?
Yeah, buzzed. Absolutely buzzed. This sounds like a total Browns thing to do.
I would say benched. I feel like that's stupid.
Well, it is stupid. The answer, however, is buzzed.
Yeah. All right.
That is true. And actually, the guy tried to get a Johnny Football themed license plate, but they shut his ass down.
Ooh.
Number 2, Travis Hafner missed a game because he strained his neck opening a beer bottle with his teeth.
Benched.
Say that again?
Travis Hafner missed a game once because he strained his neck opening a beer bottle with his teeth.
But buzzed?
All right, Joey says benched. Chad says buzzed. It is.
Yeah.
Bronk
Don't get hurt like that.
I wanted that to be true so bad.
He probably did open it with his teeth, but he ain't getting hurt like that. Come on now.
They could just add that to the list of dumb baseball injuries.
Although sometimes his injuries were a little weirder. So
Are Peyton Hillis and Travis like if Peyton Hillis had like a longer career, are they the same person just on different teams?
part project, part donkey. Hillis Hafner. Bronk. All right, number 3. In 2010, a group of Browns fans formed a drinking game where you had to chug every time the team punted.
Oh, buzzed. Absolutely
Yeah.
buzzed. This is a real thing.
I do that now.
This one's pretty simple. It is, in fact, buzzed.
You know how hammered you'd be by the end of the game?
Yeah, I think there's a story about somebody getting like hospitalized by halftime for this. So.
Oh, especially this year. Yeah.
Yep. All right, buzzed or benched. During a rain delay, Kenny Lofton once entertained fans by sliding across the outfield on a tarp like a slip and slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buzzed.
Benched. Kenny doesn't seem like that type.
The answer is.
Oh! Let's go.
So while other Indians players may have done it, like Alvaro Espinosa, I remember him doing it. Julian Tavares, those guys. Kenny? Nah, that's not his thing. Not his thing. All right, number 5, a Cavs fan, buzzed or benched. A Cavs fan was kicked out of a game after trying to offer LeBron a Mick Ultra during a timeout. Cavs fan removed from a game. Oh, my God. Austin Hedges has an RBI.
What?
What?
Wait, funny story from yesterday. Wait, funny story. Not from yesterday.
Hold
from
on.
Sunday.
Hey,
No,
number 5, Austin Hedges has an RBI. No, it's actually true. It actually did.
From Sunday when he came up later in the game, he was batting at the time 130, and the people behind me go, "Oh," the wife was like, "Why is his batting average so low?" The guy was like, "Well, he must have just been called up or something. He hasn't had a lot of at bats yet." And I was like, "Oh, that's just kind of how he is.
Totally.
That's just kind of how he is."
Yeah, but he took his shirt off and drank beers that one time, and he kind of looks like Chad when he does that. So we love him anyways.
Give me buzzed. Give me buzzed.
5. It's 1-1 Guardians and Giants. You say buzzed. Again, question 5 is a Cavs fan was kicked out of a game after trying to offer LeBron a Mick Ultra during a timeout. Buzzed or benched?
Buzzed.
We're both going buzzed. The answer is.
Let's go.
No doubt.
Security said it was a sincere but ill-advised gesture.
Oh, my God.
By the fan.
Hey, LeBron, no wonder. Okay, now I see why LeBron actually gains weight during games.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of bullshit to get kicked out for that though. Like, what was Brown like considering it or something? Like,
He might have been.
you can show whatever you want. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
you want a
probably
beer?
He would have been more of a red wine guy, I feel like. But hey, you never know.
Yeah.
Question 6, a man tried to smuggle 6 cans of beer into a Browns game by duct taping them to his stomach and claiming it was a medical cooler.
That's absolutely buzzed. Yeah, or benched. Benched.
Yeah.
No, wait.
You say
Buzzed,
benched?
Buzzed is true. Buzzed is
Buzz
true.
is true.
Yeah.
Come on. It's a Browns fan.
Yeah.
We know this is Buzz. Come on.
Oh, fucking dumb.
Security called it the most Cleveland thing we've seen this week.
This week.
All right, Buster Bench, number 7 in 2023. A new IPA was released in honor of the Guardians called Curveball Kolsch. Well, it's not an IPA, it's a Kolsch.
That's yeah.
But it was discontinued because fans kept calling it Wild Pitch Water.
Man, ChatGPT is really struggling on this one. Give me benched.
Benched.
It was me that was struggling.
Oh, okay.
It's me. It's me.
It was me that
I
was
was
struggling.
struggling.
I struggled.
Benched.
What Chad say?
Benched.
It's fake.
Yeah. Right.
It is fake. That is fake. All right, number 8. At the 1995 ALCS, a fan proposed to his girlfriend by spelling it out with beer cups in the bleachers, and then he passed out before she could answer.
That's a Cleveland thing. But Buzz.
Benched. No. No.
Yeah.
No way.
100% true.
Yes.
100% true.
Oh,
That actually did happen.
brutal.
All right, 2 more. Number 9, the Cavs once offered free beer for a season to any fan who got a tattoo of Larry Nance Jr.'s face.
Benched.
Benched.
Oh, God, it would be so good if it was true.
That'd be amazing if that was true.
Especially because it's like Larry Nance Jr. of all players.
Yeah.
There's,
Like, that's
there's
so
some
random.
lawsuit written all over that somewhere.
It's so fucking random. Like Alonzo G. If you get a tattoo of Alonzo G.
All right, Buster Bench, number 10. A man at a Guardians game once tried to return a beer because it was too flat during a rain delay.
No, benched. They would just drink the beer.
Buzzed.
This is actually a
Oh,
true story.
way.
And the guy put up a big fuss about it. Like a real big fuss because his beer was flat during a rain delay. Ladies and gentlemen, that was one of our newer segments called Buzzed or Benched.
buzzed or benched. That's
And I loved it.
coming up more.
And I loved it. Buzzed or
Let's
Benched.
go.
That's
Right
good.
here on
That's
the
good.
Garage Beers Podcast. All right. Last segment of the week before we get out of here. Look at this. You know how awesome this is? I can move my microphone around.
Oh, whoa.
Like
That's
nothing
crazy.
happens. I
That's
can
so
slam
crazy.
the table.
It's so
and
crazy.
nothing happens. This is great. We got a new mic. Things are good. Let's do our cheers of the week before we get out of here. Our cheers of the week, the opposite of our assholes of the week, where we just call somebody out for being awesome. Let's go around and do our cheers of the week. Joe, started out with you out there in Seattle. What's your cheer of the week this week?
Yeah, the one cheer of the week is going to be the Guardians. But just the ability to see them in person for 3 games out of a year is like pretty sweet. Lived in a town with no Major League Baseball for the past 14 years, and I'm excited to be able to see them a little more here in Seattle. So that's very exciting. The 1-2 cheer of the week is Mike for not sounding like shit this week. Congratulations.
Hey,
on the
way to
microphone.
go, Mike.
Baby.
It's a
It sounds-
huge upgrade. You sound great.
It sounds so good right now, doesn't it? What are you laughing at? Sorry, my kid's in my closet with me right now, and he thinks that's hilarious.
There you go.
Chad, what's your cheer of the week?
Well, just like I called myself out for being an asshole last week, I'm going to give myself a cheers this week, fellas.
Here we go.
Oh.
All right.
What has... No. You better crack the beer after I tell you this. I was able to go golfing this past Sunday for Father's Day. By the way, happy Father's Day to everybody. Except for Mike. No, happy
Middle
Father's
finger for
Day,
you,
Mike.
pal. It's a middle
Happy
finger.
Father's Day. Went out to Pleasant Hill. Not a great track. But I've been on worse cow pastures. But boys, what has 2 thumbs and knocked it in the hole from about 110 out
Hell yeah.
on hole 7? Let's go, bro.
Yeah, let's go, Jazz.
Let's go. There's not much to hang my hat on when it comes to my golf game, but my short game and my tee shots are great, and my short game worked out. Hold it in from 110 yards out. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Nice job.
That's fucking outrageous because every time I play with you, when we get to the par 3, you get a wood and you go to the black tee.
Yeah.
because
Well, this
you
wasn't a
get
par
hit.
3. This wasn't a par 3.
Doesn't matter whether it's a par
So I was
3
able
or
to do
not.
my little half swing thing, and I just buried it. Buried it, boys.
The mid irons don't treat you too well.
That's it. No, God, no, hell no. Jesus.
So I played golf last week too. I was in Maryland. I played golf. I worked until like 2:30, and buddy of mine and I went and golfed, and we golfed with these two guys from the University of Maryland. Had a great time. Like a pretty average front nine. I something happened. Back nine. First of all, I shoot a 7 and a 6 on holes 10 and 11, so that did not help the cause. But then I shot 3 under on the next 7 holes.
Let's go.
Including like Joe, I remember when you did this, including just a true eagle, which was just
Yeah.
It was a par 5. I put the ball with like 210. I'm on the fairway, like 210 from the green. I hit a 4-iron, 15 feet from the pin, and I sank the putt. And I was like,
Yeah.
This is the greatest feeling in my life.
Yeah.
I'll be on tour.
It should be.
It was great. It was the best 7-hole stretch of golf that I can remember in a long time. The 13 in the first 2 holes of the back nine didn't help the cause, but we made up for it.
Sorry.
You should never play again.
Speaking of golf, though, the JJ Spawn Sunday story is incredible.
Yeah.
And the last putt was just. Now he did get to see the line, but it was a beautiful putt.
Now, real quick, before I get to my cheer, because we did have the U.S. Open. I drove past it, by the way, guys. The crowds. I was coming home from Maryland, so I had to drive right past Oakmont around Pittsburgh. The crowds were unbelievable. You could see like the stands set up.
Yeah.
From the highway, it was awesome.
Well, yeah, because they took out all the trees.
So when you watch a tournament, you have this Oakmont tournament, right? Where what was Spawn was 1 or 2 under to win the tournament.
Yeah.
Right? Like these guys are just dying out there just to try to play even golf.
Right.
The cut line was 7 over.
Yeah.
Do you like watching that kind of tournament where these guys are being pushed to the absolute limit? Or do you like it when somebody's like 21 over and they win a tournament?
No, push to the absolute limit. Yeah.
I agree.
I like it. I like it when these guys are human. Like I like to think that I can be one of these guys. Yeah, like
I love seeing the 3-foot duffed chips. Like
yes.
1,000%.
The missed 4-foot putts. Like it's
like
wow. How many guys missed the fairway by like 4 feet and they wound up in that rough
and just buried?
They worm burnered one out of there, and I was like, I've done that. I've done that a lot of times.
Yeah, you're me. You're me right now.
Some of the most impressive shots though were out of the rough, and how clean they could get the ball out of there. Like I am shocked because I've been there before, and I don't do that.
No. If I'm in the rough, we're praying, we're hoping and praying.
Yep.
If I slice a shot, I'm praying it's in the other fairway and not in the rough. That's what I'm praying for.
Yeah.
Broken Arrow's got a cheer. Joey Chestnut back in the game. July 4th, the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, and the goat hot dog eater is back in the game.
Are they feeding him vegan hot dogs? Did they work that out?
He's unretired and he's eating hot dogs.
Oh no, it was a Nathan's thing, right?
Right?
Yeah, it was a sponsorship thing. They took the sponsor off, and yeah.
Yep. Listen, you kind of mentioned it before, Chad, but my cheer of the week was just going to be to dads, man. Just dadding it up, man. Father's Day. And shout out to I don't come from a world where that was a big thing. And so shout out to the people that make Father's Day special. Shout out to the kids, obviously. Man, I had such a fun Father's Day with my kids. We had breakfast here with my mom because she kind of served both purposes in my life. And we had breakfast here. Then we went out, Joey, we went out with your parents. We went out with my father-in-law, my mother-in-law. We went to the Natural History Museum, which is unbelievable. Just if you haven't been there since they redid it, it's outrageous in Cleveland. We went out to Masthead, had some beers. We went out to Mexican for some margaritas, and for dinner, we had a great time. But just Father's Day and all the people that make being a father so awesome. Starts with the kids, goes to the wives or significant others, and everybody else around. Big shout out to all the dads out there and all the people like you and I, Chad, and Joe, you eventually, that just we take the job seriously and we have a good time with it, man. Shout out to all the dads.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's going to do it. Episode 268 is in the books. A couple thank yous before we get out of here. First thank you goes to the OBR for hosting us, for having us every week, for having us be a part of the family. Go shout out, go follow the OBR, subscribe at theobr.com. Make sure you are subscribed at YouTube or Twitch for the OBR. The best place to get Browns coverage in all of Cleveland is the OBR, and you get to hang out with us. So big shout out to them. Next shout out goes to our special guest tonight, Matt Fontana. He was awesome. We had a great time talking with Matt from the Matt Fontana Show on Bigplay. Go follow Matt. Go follow the show on the socials. But big time shout out to Matt Fontana. And lastly, and our biggest shout out goes out to all of you, everybody that joined us here live tonight. A few hundred of you in the live streams, and everybody that's going to join us later on iTunes or Apple or Spotify or iHeart or wherever you listen to your podcast. We're up and running after tonight. So make sure you check us out there. Big shout out to all of you. We appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you for your support. That's going to do it for episode 268 for Chad over on the east side of Cleveland at Garage Beers. Chad, for Joey Whalen over in Seattle at Garage Beers. Joe, I am Michael Keefe at Garage Beers. Mike, go follow the show at The Garage Beers on all the socials. And we will see you next week for episode 269. Nice. Until then, cheers.
Nice.
And we'll see you later, everybody.